ball, finds a hole up the middle.
Steps up, goes deep left side, receiver open, counting, touchdown Titans! Takes a nice shot outside the goal box and he will break the 0-0 tie. Fantastic shot by Kenloff Solon.
Giller makes a move, a good one, opportunity here, the Bears score! The Bears strike first.
He's at the 40, he's down to the 30, the 20, 10, 5, touchdown, Jalen Bryan. Why not? What a beautiful run.
Maureen there, fights her off the puck, opportunity here, another sit, and a goal! Second chance effort for the Pioneers.
Put the icing on the cake, if you will, Michael. Go down and got to the outside and said good evening and good night.
What's shaking, TV19 sports fans? Got a good one for you this evening. We're here at North High School in beautiful North St. Paul, Minnesota for a wrestling duel. It is North St. Paul hosting Mahtomedi in Metro East Conference action. The Polars are 9-6, and you see Mahtomedi 8-8. Sam Erickson with a very special guest, Adam Gormley, here with you this evening. And we should have a great little duel, shouldn't we, Adam?
We should. It's pretty exciting. I think these two schools are evenly matched. I think we're going to have a lot of exciting wrestling, and it'll be a lot of fun today.
All right, yeah, with that, I guess we'll take a look at those Metro East standings. You see Simile at the very top. North struggling so far without a win, but they got a good opportunity here tonight against the Zephyrs.
They do. I think the beginning of the season, North really had kind of the tougher part of the conference, and so the later part of the season, I think you're going to see some of those wins come up for North here.
Well, let's hope that tough schedule at the beginning of the season pays off here this evening. And before we get into our action, we are actually going to discuss some of the rules here with our expert guest and analyst, Adam. And first, we're going to take a look at all the weight classes here in high school wrestling for Minnesota.
So yeah, we've got all of our weight classes here. You got kind of run through it real quick, as you can see. We'll start off with 106, and it evenly splits up all of our population of high school students. They've changed the weight classes around every couple of years, but yeah, it should be a good time. We start off with 106, the little guys, and end up with the kind of heavyweight champs here, so it should be good.
Yeah, and you can often see in high school with that weight distribution that maybe some of the underclassmen are at those smaller weight classes, eventually work their way up to the higher weight classes, although it allows for, no matter what size you are, there's a spot for you on those teams. After that, we're going to take a look at some of the individual scoring here for wrestling.
So when you start off, you have fall as kind of a victory, so that's your pin. But your takedown, you got your 2 points in reversal. Those are kind of your main point earners there. But then if you can get out of a move and get up to your feet, you'll get an escape and get 1 point. And your near fall is if you get your back exposed to the mat, well, then you get 2 or 3 points there. And penalty, got to keep a good, clean game. So.
Absolutely. So those are some of the look at some of the individual scoring. We'll have more opportunity to get into that throughout our broadcast. But now we're going to take a look here at team scoring.
So yeah, the way we can score each team is the end decision of what happens with each match. So if you get pinned, you earn 6 points for your team. A tech fall is if you can get 15 or more points than your opponent, then the match automatically ends, and you have 5 points for your team. Major decision, if you have 8 or more points at the end of than your opponent at the end of the match, you'll get 4. And then a regular decision, if win by anything less than 8, then you get 3 points. We will have a forfeit today. North St. Paul has an opening. Our 52-pounder is sick today, so Mahtomedi will get 6 automatic team points for that open weight class.
That's not something that's uncommon in the sport, as it's tough to always fill those 14 weight classes. Well, that's a little bit of wrestling education for you. We'll do a lot more for our broadcast that's coming up after the break. It's Mahtomedi North set to duel it out here on TV19.
You've messed up your son's haircut. Do you try to fix it? Work with what you've got? Or show solidarity?
Thank you, babe. You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
We've all seen stories of conflict that ended with peace. We've seen stories of hunger and in abundance. We see stories of fear, despair, and poverty, but they can end with courage, hope, and love. With you. Be a part of writing a story that's greater than poverty. Learn how at worldvision.org.
Alvin and the Chipmunks want to remind you bacteria can hide in food and make you ill. Wow! But you can keep bacteria from ruining your day with 4 simple steps. Clean, separate, cook, and chill. The road trip to food safety starts at foodsafety.gov.
Welcome back, everybody. We're here at North St. Paul High School awaiting the start of the wrestling duel here in Metro East Conference action between North St. Paul and Mahtomedi. There are the records. North coming into this one with a 9-6 record. Mahtomedi 8-8 in their duels. Sam Erickson joined alongside a very special guest, an assistant coach with this North St. Paul program, a man who's been involved with this program for the past couple of years, Adam Gormley. How are you doing this evening, Adam?
Oh, I'm excited. As they say, this is kind of might be corny for everyone, but as the wrestling coach say, the side I adore on a basketball floor is wrestling mats from door to door, and man, it's going to be a good night tonight. I think these two teams are matched up really well, as you saw with the records. I think it'll be a good night for some good wrestling here.
Awesome. You're going to have to write that phrase down for me. I'm going to have to use that one in my next wrestling broadcast. Love that. And it looks like we're about ready to get things underway here in the 106 weight class. That is how we're going to start it off.
Yeah, we've got Jack Romaine here with Hunter Wisely. Or I think that's, Hunter Wilsley, I believe.
Wilsley, a 9th grader, and Romaine, a 10th grader.
Yeah.
North's going to be wrestling in the black, Mahtomedi in the gray and blue. And Adam, you're going to kind of be our wrestling expert here for us. We'll discuss a lot of rules, a lot of scoring throughout our broadcast as we bring the action here.
So as you see, we've got a score already of 2-0 because we've had a takedown, but it looks like Jack might be getting a reversal here. If the referee, if he will award that, looks like he's waiting. There we go.
Sounds like you want him to award that.
Yeah.
Now that might get it.
There we go. So what Jack's working on right now is he's trying to get some back points, and now what we've got, Hunter's gotten a escape point. So if you can get out of control from the other guy onto your feet, then you get 1 point for an escape.
Yeah, and we talked about how Wilsey got the takedown to start this one off. Maybe we'll talk about how the wrestlers start the opening period in the neutral position, and then how if this goes on to the second period, how that will kind of start.
Yeah, so you have 3 periods in a wrestling match, and each one in high school is 2 minutes long. And so the first period always starts with in neutral position, as you said, so they're both on their feet. And then the second and third period, there gets to be more options, so that'll be exciting.
Yeah, we'll kind of hopefully get to that in this one. Certainly we'll get to it at some point this evening. But you see they're close to a near fall.
So when the ref is counting there, he is awarding near fall. He's counting for near fall. And so a near fall is any time that the bottom wrestler's back crosses a 90-degree towards the mat. And so if he counts to 2, there will be 2 near fall points. If he counts more than 3, up to 5, the controlling wrestler can be awarded 5 points.
You see Wilsey there trying to get Romaine on the back. The buzzer sounds. We saw just before that Romaine doing a good job kind of flipping over and making sure his face was down facing the mat, not his back. So that'll conclude period number 1. You see the score there, 11-2 for Romaine for North St. Paul. You talked about counting off those near fall points. The referee kind of has corresponding colors for each wrestler when he's giving away points like that.
So yeah, if you notice, both of our wrestlers here, if you look at their ankles, on each of them they have an ankle band. So if you look at Jack at North, he's got a green ankle band, and Mahtomedi, for Hunter, he's got a red ankle band. And so those correspond with the referee's bands on his wrists, and then he can signal to the table which one is awarded which points.
Yeah, he kind of makes it clear. He'll hold up that hand, There's a good shot. Our last wrestling event we did at White Bear Lake, they dimmed the lights there, so it was a little hard to see that part of the scoring system. So nice shot there. As you can really see the red and green on the referee's wristband. There you go. You see the two wrestlers starting off.
So Hunter's gotten a nice single leg there. Now he's moved up. He's trying to get us some back points here with kind of a funky move here.
And really the main goal is to get those shoulders pinned. I mean, if you don't get that fall, you definitely get those near fall points if you kind of keep working. And quite a job to reverse the decision there by Wilsey as he was trailing by 12 points. So a huge comeback there for the Zephyrs to get 6 points with that fall. And I guess with that and the 6 points, we can talk a little bit about team scoring.
Yeah, so team scoring, you have a couple options. If the best thing that you could do is what Hunter got there with the pin. The fall will give you 6 points. Jack was close to getting a technical fall. If he would have gotten over 15 points above Hunter, then he would have gotten a technical fall, which would have awarded North 5 points.
Now, if you get to that 15-point mark, sorry, Adam, does the technical fall end the match, or does that?
Correct.
So it's like a normal fall.
Yep.
Match will end right then and there if you get up to 15.
15 above the other wrestler, yeah. So, you know, if the other guy has 3 points, then Jack would have needed to get to 18 points.
So yeah, he had about a 13-point lead there. So Romain unable to get anything for his team. But we'll see what happens here at 113 as we have Fitzpatrick from Mahtomedi and Fang from North.
Yeah, this will be an interesting match. Isaac is a brand new wrestler for us at North, and so he's done quite well as a new wrestler. And Jake Fitzpatrick, he comes from a family that, as you notice, the next one will be a relation. And so they... Fitzpatrick's know what they're doing, so this will be interesting. Isaac is definitely the underdog in this one, and so as you can see, Jake is doing quite well. He's got an arm bar in right now with a half Nelson.
You will see that a lot at the high school level, kind of varying experience levels. You know, these two are both sophomores, but their wrestling experience may differ greatly. You know, one might be getting kind of first taste here of varsity wrestling, where another kind of grew up in a family where they're more familiar with the sport. So a lot of times you see green wrestlers that, you know, show a lot of promise and eventually develop into something pretty special.
Yeah. And real quick, just tell you that, so the ref stopped the match earlier there. What had happened was that there was a potentially dangerous, Jake had the move that he had where he had his hand, the refs will stop the match at certain points if there are, you know, potentially dangerous positions that the kids could get into, which might put a joint in a bad position or something of that nature.
Now going back to our individual scoring, would that be kind of one of those penalty points that we talked about? Is that dangerous play, or are there any individual points awarded in those situations?
So potentially dangerous is never awarded any points because, you know, you could clearly tell Jake had the move that he was going for. It's just that if it slips into a wrong angle or something like that. There are certain things that can happen, though. For example, if there's a slam, so you know you can't do any WWE slams on any kids here, which is interesting. Coaching at the younger levels, that's what the kids always ask for. Can I do a DDT or something like that? Oh, no, you can't do that. So
you see a lot of those rules in place. You know, the potentially dangerous. It's about wrestler safety more than anything.
And the thing that's exciting about this sport. And that you and I, Sam, were talking about earlier, is that this sport is for everyone. That if you look at the benches and you look and you watch as we go, we started with the smallest of small kids that you could have in your high school population, and then you have the largest of kids. And so it really is a fantastic sport for everybody. And in no other sport, if you look at here, we've got 2 competitors with 1 referee. And so you have a 2-to-1 kind of, you know, ref to athlete and, you know, watching to make sure things are going to be safe and things are okay.
They definitely get some of the best officiating there with the official, you know, right on the mat, seeing things. And then he spots one there as looks like another fall.
Another fall for Mahtomedi. And again, as I said, Isaac came in as the underdog, and Jake definitely did what he was planning on doing.
So things maybe as expected there in the 113 weight class. So 2 consecutive falls. Mahtomedi now out to the 12-0 team score. Our bottom third has it wrong there as Mahtomedi was actually able to get the fall in the first duel as well, the first match between wrestlers. So Mahtomedi with the 12-0 team score after getting the fall right there. And going back to the potentially dangerous, when the ref makes that call, how do you reset things after that?
So if you'll see that they started, if you could, rewind there, they will always start back in the center of the mat with one wrestler on bottom, which we call, and then the other wrestler on top, which would signify that he has control.
And now is that up to a certain wrestler's choice?
Not for potentially dangerous here. That will be between periods 2 and 3, but not during potentially dangerous, or if they go out of bounds, the referee will always place them in whichever control position was there before. So
there's the scoring play, sorry Adam, for Bryce Fitzpatrick, as we've moved on to the 120 weight class. Fitzpatrick actually a 9th grader, and you mentioned in the same family as Jake Fitzpatrick, who just got the fall. Wrestling for North is Aguilar in the 120 weight class.
It's Sewell, and he's a second-year wrestler for us. And just for our folks watching at home, you see that Bryce here, he's got a face mask. If anyone could have seen him in the weigh-ins, he has a sweet black eye that looks amazing, and so he's wearing a padded mask there so that he doesn't re-injure anything else that's there.
I saw that walking in. I was wondering if that was wrestling related. You mentioned the sport is for everyone. I think one side note you have to make is not only do you have to be physically tough in the sport, it takes a lot of mental strength as well.
Well, it's true. One of our coaches likes to say wrestling is 90% mental and 90% physical.
I would agree with that. It seems like you have to give about 180% effort when you're out there, or something more than 100%.
Yeah. So right now we've got, he looked like, so what happens then, the strategy that Ixul is going for is that as soon as he realizes he's not in a good position, he's going to go to his belly and try to work into a better position. So as you see, they start out of bounds, and now he's going to bring him back to the middle, and because Ixul was down, he will then have to start down. And there's a small rectangle in the middle of the mat. You got to have your knees on one side and your hands on the other. And then so Bryce then when he sets, he has to have one hand on the belly and then another hand on the elbow. So right now he's going for an arm bar.
And a lot of times that starting position can play into a wrestler's strength. If you're better at escaping, you prefer to start in that defensive position. If you're better kind of riding the wrestler, not allowing the escape, not allowing reversals, more takedowns, you want to be in that offensive position. And Fitzpatrick able to get into the offensive position. I saw him kind of motioning to the referee. I think he wanted to adjust his mask. He was able to battle through it. And another fall for the Zephyrs as they're starting things off pretty hot here this evening.
Yeah, so he got Ixul with a double arm bar, and I mean, man, if you can get that, as you see, it's quite effective, and you don't want to be in one.
Yeah, so things not starting out great for the Polars, but they've a lot of inexperience in the lower weight classes for North. So excited to kind of see how things will shape out as we keep it going.
Yeah, I think this next match for us, the Polars, Tyroo Tao here. He's also a very new guy, but our following match, Noah Hurley, I think you'll see essentially level up for the North Polars here.
So Tyroo Tao, a freshman as well. He'll be going against Reed Lawrence, a freshman in the 126 weight class.
So good scramble there between the two of them. So Reed got a 2-point for the takedown, and then Tyroo escaped 1 point for getting back up.
They're back up at the neutral position and looking for a takedown. Although Lawrence doing a good job getting on top of Tao, 2 points.
Yep, he's going for a tilt here. So he's not going to be able to tilt him or pin him, as you can tell, unless he readjusts to a different move because he could not get Tyroo flat. But you can still tilt and get your points, your near fall points.
When you say tilt, what is that?
So
can you explain
just
that
like
a
right
little
here,
further?
he's got a 2-on-1, so he's got 2 hands on 1 arm, and by just exposing his back to the mat, you can get near fall points. Because remember, the near fall is counted as soon as his back is past 90 degree.
So you kind of say you call it a tilt because you're sort of tilting him towards the mat?
Correct. And oftentimes tilts aren't necessarily made to pin a guy. but just hold him in a position so that you can rack up your score. And
Maybe
as you see
wear
right
him
now,
out eventually as well.
Lawrence right now he's 9-1, soon to probably be 12-1 if he can hold him here. Yeah, because you see the ref. There we go. We got a 3 near fall points.
When we're talking those near fall points now, is it a certain amount of seconds that the referee has to count off before he starts adding points? And does it start with 2 points added for the near fall? Or is it just?
So you see the ref moving it, swinging his arm there, and it's essentially about a second per count, but it's basically as fast as he moves his arm. They try to keep it a steady, 1 second, and as soon as you get to a two count, then you're awarded 2 near fall points. If you get past into the 3, 4, or 5, then you get 3 near fall points.
Another win for Mahtomedi as Lawrence gets the fall. So Mahtomedi perfect here to start. 4 falls from 4 with a 24-0 team score, but this one should be a good one as Noah Hurley in the 132 class is one of our pollers that we wanted to watch coming into this one. And he will be going against, looks like Zach Kelsey, an 11th grader for Mahtomedi.
So Noah's pretty young, but he's been wrestling here with North here for a few years. He started with us early as a 7th grader, and he's grown up through the program, done quite well. His older brother wrestled for us, and he graduated last year. He also did quite well for us. So if you see real good position on Noah.
That's a 2-point takedown.
2 takedown.
Hurley in good offensive position there.
Looks like he's trying to work a 2-on-1. So from there, he looking for possibly a tilt or an arm bar. It looks like he might be trying to slip his hand, so get his hand under. Oh, he lost that grip there.
Now, what's it like for these guys in these conference duels, having to wrestle against some of these guys year in and year out?
I think there's a lot of pride going in there. Everyone's wanting to do their best. The exciting thing about wrestling when you're looking to make all conference, it's the challenge is beat everyone in the conference, and there isn't really any judgment calls as to, I was pretty good here. It's pretty much cutter, black and white, cut and dry.
This guy beat that guy, and I beat this guy. You kind of have to beat everybody. That's another interesting thing, especially about the duel in wrestling, is that yes, these are individual matches, but as a whole, it is a team sport.
It is, and that's the exciting thing. It makes it a lot more interesting when you have everybody sitting on the bench and we're all together, and knowing that your individual actions will affect the team score here.
Yeah, there's no teammates to bail you out. You got to perform when it's your time to, in the spotlight, which is one of the tough things about wrestling. I'm sure sometimes these wrestlers wish they could pass the ball off to a teammate, maybe take some of the pressure off of them. But I think that's something you find with the wrestling mentality, is that they're more than happy to step up and put the pressure on themselves and try and perform.
You kind of have to, grow into that. It definitely is a sport that teaches a lot of character, and it's one of the reasons why I love coaching the sport. I coach a number of sports, and I would say by far this is my favorite to coach because of essentially the life skills that you can learn from it, because there is that responsibility to the team, but also there's a lot of individual responsibility and mental grit that one has to get from wrestling and competing.
Yeah, and I think just the discipline it takes to kind of not give up in some of these situations, or go out there and wrestle if you've lost your last couple matches. It's not like losing a basketball game. You're being physically pinned to the ground. It's not the easiest thing to come back the next day and do it again.
Well, you think about it. This is the thing. I like this close up here. You see that there really isn't a muscle on these guys that isn't being flexed right now, and there's a reason that it's only 6 minutes long. And then also there's a high school rule here that we have after you wrestle. There's a rule you cannot wrestle again for another 45 minutes because you need some time to recoup after that. And so it is an intense 6 minutes if you have to go, and man, if you have to go overtime, you'll see that guys just are exhausted at the end.
I see with some of these lower weight classes, not a whole lot of fat on the bodies there, a lot of muscle, and a lot of muscles going to work, as you see in that shot there. As Kelsey trying to get to the outside.
Yeah, the exciting thing, it looks Noah's been in very much in control, but here he's having a lot of troubles getting some points. And you see the score is only 2-1. And so even though it looks like Noah has had a lot of control, Kelsey's very much in this match and could easily, turn this around and take a lead here.
So it is 2-1. Hurley leading, second period, 50 seconds left to go, as I think the scoreboard went out momentarily inside the gym, is why we have that brief pause. Hurley's going to start off in the offensive position. 2 wrestlers left the circle, so we'll start again. And you see Kelsey racing for the circle, for getting out of the circle once again.
Yeah, Kelsey's doing a good job of trying to keep moving. On bottom, the worst thing you want to do is sit there. Because if you sit there, you're giving the guy on top time and to think and time to do things to you. And so, wrestling is definitely it's a challenge of, as we were talking about, mental, but you cannot stop, because if you stop, you give the other guy time to think, oh, well, maybe I'll try something else and do something different angle here. So you can see Noah's working the ankles and the wrists here a lot while he's on top. So he knocks him down. He's doing a great job of keeping him flat, but he definitely is having a little trouble getting some points here, trying to turn him. That was a good move on Kelsey's part.
Saw him kind of flip over there. Now the 2 wrestlers up. Kelsey desperately trying to get that escape point. He's going to get thrown. They'll be outside, and that will be the only call. As you can do a little bit of that slamming, I think that was maybe approaching some of that dangerous play we talked about, but it's really when you hoist the wrestler off the mat and kind of slam them down.
Correct.
Lift their feet off, is that kind of the deal?
So when you take a guy off the mat, it is the wrestler who has control, his responsibility to bring the guy down safely. And so you can take someone up as high as you can lift them, but you got to be able to bring them down safely. And so,
is that referee discretion then, in terms of if it was safe or not safe?
Yes, oftentimes it is pretty obvious.
Sure.
Yeah, usually if a guy's slammed, it's loud, and everyone, the crowd tells you it's also. But and if he's not, the guy will usually pop up and go right away as quick as he can.
So the start of the third and final period here, 2 minutes on the clock. And Kelsey's going to start in the offensive position, so it'll be interesting to see what Hurley does here, see if he can get any escape points and get back up to neutral position.
Kelsey's doing a good job of trying to move and trying to find something to do. Noah's kind of being patient here.
Hurley got on his feet, taken back down. No scoring point, however.
Doing a nice job of, if you notice, his base is really what we call base, being on your hands and knees. And so that's kind of, if you're in the down position, you really want to be, that's kind of, as we call it, a base, and build up from there. And so there's a couple options that we have, you can stand up, sit out, do some rolls. Kelsey was trying to roll out of a couple things earlier, as you saw when he would kick his leg through. But Noah's just kind of biding his time, I think, here.
I was going to say, at what point do you, in this close of a match and, having to start in the defensive position, will the wrestler kind of just decide to try and hold on rather than go for any scoring opportunities?
Depends on the wrestler. And sometimes that kind of plays well, and then sometimes it in close matches like this also, it can, buzzer beater and ruin it for you.
Absolutely. I mean, we saw in our first match that North wrestler was totally outscoring a Mahtomedi wrestler, but the Zephyr wrestler able to kind of reverse things and get that quick fall. Down to less than 40 seconds here left to go.
So what happened
period.
just there, the ref pounded the mat, and then he's holding his fist up, and that is called a stalling call. So he's calling Noah for that. He's not doing anything. Being that the match is only 6 minutes long, there's a expectation that we will wrestle as much as we possibly, and as give as much that you possibly can. And there we had Kelsey really rolled him through, and the ref did not get a 2 count, much to the disappointment of the Zephyr team.
And Hurley riding things out, gets away, no point call as of yet, as he wasn't quite able to get that escape, but the horn sounds.
definitely beat the buzzer on that one.
And he did beat the buzzer. Wasn't sure if there was going to be any late points in there. It was a 2-1 win. Noah Hurley does the job, gets 3 points for the Polars. And as we expected, that was going to be a close one, but North ends up on top. A nice effort there from Hurley in the 132-pound weight class. Noah Hurley, the sophomore for the Polars. So Polars get on the board.
We have another, so our next one that we've got coming in is Jonas Araye. And I might be messing up his name. That's fantastic. My own teammate.
It wouldn't be the first time here on TV19, that's for sure.
But versus Nate Kujawa. And Jonas, for us, he's a brand new wrestler as well. Even though he's a junior, he's late to the show, one might say.
For some of these wrestlers that are maybe kind of late coming into the program, is there anything in common with the kids that end up kind of joining up, or
is
it just sort of a mixed bag of kids that are interested in doing something else?
It's kind of a mixed bag. You have a lot of different reasons. In fact, I myself was one that was late coming to the program, and for me it was just a buddy was like, you're a small guy, come join our wrestling team. And I think that happens for a lot of us. I think Jonas has a couple good friends on the team, and so they say, hey, you're an athletic guy, come on and give this a shot. And so we, right now, even though he's new, you can kind of see he's a bit of a tough kid, and we have an opening, and so we're going to try to see what he can do for us.
Definitely some good strength on display right there, as he's doing a great job of resisting Kujawa.
So as you saw, if Kujawa could have kept him on the mat, he might have been able to get him on his back. But if you go to your back and you're out of the big circle, out of bounds, then there are no points awarded for anything that's happening there.
And what makes it officially out of the big circle?
So there has to be, if your back is out of bounds, so let's say your back is exposed and your back is out of bounds, then nothing will be awarded.
So you see right there, actually a good shot for that right there. So Raye had his back. If the pin would have gone and his shoulder blades would have been outside that circle, would have been no go. And we would just reset like we're doing right now. Both wrestlers go to the neutral position.
So Kujawa they keep going to the neutral position because Kujawa keeps telling the ref that he's going to let him up. And so instead of starting down and kind of wasting that time, he just tells the ref, hey, I'm going to let him up. Kujawa's got a great double here. He keeps going down and getting the double. And you notice, even though Jonas is out of bounds, Kujawa, both of his feet are inbounds, and so that counts for a takedown. But as I said, if his back is exposed, that will not give him any near fall points.
So another scoring play there for Kujawa, leading 8-2 now.
Oh,
and now
Jonas looked into a half. That's not going to be good for him. Here you go. Oh, yep, there. And that's a good half Nelson. You can see he's got the far arm too. Yep. And there's our fall.
That'll be another fall for Mahtomedi. Kujawa getting it this time. That'll bring your team score now to 30-3. As Mahtomedi winning the 138 weight class. As we await the wrestlers for the 145.
And here we have another. This is going to be an interesting one. We've got EJ Motor.
Motor, a freshman.
Freshman, he's also brand new to our program, and he happens to be just the right weight for us, so that's why he's out here right now.
I was going to say, that's another thing you see here at the high school wrestling level, is that it's very difficult to fill every weight class. We've got 14 weight classes here in the dual, I believe, and that's another reason that, there's a lot of times a spot available on these high school wrestling teams. So if you're interested at all, go check it out, and they're going to find a spot on the team for you if you're interested.
Yep. And so that's kind of what's happened here with EJ. EJ's real excited. I think he's got a lot of promise to him, but as I said, he's new, so I think this match is going to be tough for him. You can see he's struggling to build a base here. He's doing a good job of trying to look away from the half.
But how about these kids getting a chance to get some good varsity experience as ninth grader?
Yeah. And hopefully, he sticks it out and keeps with us. So as we see here, Nate decided, no, we're not at Nate, we're at Colin. Colin decided to let him up and start again in the middle.
You know, when you mentioned that they let him up, is that conceding a point there?
Yeah, that is. And in a sense, that kind of is Colin saying that, you know what, I'm going to let you up, I'm going to give you a point, and I think I can take you down again. And
as you saw just right there, good chance to bring that up, as it was a 2-point takedown for Grant Strand. And he leads now 4-1.
As you see, EJ's doing a great job of fighting. He's understanding, you know, that the positions that he needs to get, that half Nelson comes in and he's got to look away and get that shoulder down. And he's trying to build a base. You know, you can see he's doing a good job with the knowledge that he's got. So we've got now an arm bar with the half.
What is the benefit of a move like the half?
So the half Nelson is one of those basic, we got a potentially dangerous there. One of those basic moves that we teach right away in the beginning. It's basically the first move to learn how to turn a guy over. And so you're taking your arm, putting it under his shoulder, in his armpit, and hooking on his neck, and using that as a lever to turn the guy over. And so we find that, you know, sometimes the most basic moves are the most effective moves that you have. There are a lot of interesting moves. We've seen a couple. You know, I think Fitzpatrick earlier gave us a double arm bar. But you'll notice even as you go up the levels, a half Nelson, a single leg, a double leg takedown, you know, starting from little kids all the way up into college, those are your basic moves that you're working on. And the kind of complexity just goes into how to finish it and how to defend it.
Definitely makes sense as a good maneuver as you describe it. Doesn't sound very comfortable. I think I would let somebody turn me over a little bit more if they had my arm in a half Nelson.
I will admit, in my old age of coaching now, and I visit the chiropractor a lot more.
Yeah, even having to just demonstrate the moves for, you know, a little bit.
Yeah.
So now we're just starting up the second period. Grant Strand able to take a 10-1 lead here into period number 2. And we have a chance here. If there's no fall, we might have a technical fall. If this one reaches a 15-point deficit.
Yeah, so we've got a Granby roll. So you notice how he rolled across his shoulders and kind of saw the opening. And that's the exciting thing about wrestling, is that, you know, I joke that it's 90% physical, 90% mental. But I tell the kids, you know, that it requires a lot of strength, but it's all just a puzzle. And that this is physical chess. And that if you can see an opening of where to get out or where to turn a guy, how to take somebody and use their weight against them or use motion against them. It's very much a chess game with your body. And
no, absolutely. I mean, I think it's the case where, you know, the strongest wrestler isn't always the best wrestler. You might think that, but you know, it's kind of understanding how to use your body. You know, having the IQ and intelligence to know when those openings are and kind of use the right move.
Yeah, we often find when we get a new guy who possibly is, you know, one of your big oxes that, you know, really strong, they often go out thinking that they can just muscle a guy and find that it's not as easy as that.
That might be more of a football type of thing if you're trying to just brute strength push somebody out of the way. But wrestling, it takes a little bit more than that.
So Grant Strand here, he's working EJ's right arm here. He might be switching to the left here. And it looks like he's trying to, he's gonna, looking for an arm bar of some sort.
Now the arm bar, is that where he's trying to kind of pin it back behind his body?
Yeah, so he can either take his arm and pull it to the opposite hip, or he can slide his arm through his elbow onto his back and kind of use that as a bar again to lever across. And as you notice, he's going from a lot of different moves, you know, hopping from one side to the other, and you kind of, as I said, using that chess mentality, set up one move to set something else to chain these moves all together. And Grant Strand is doing a great job of doing that. And essentially, EJ is kind of doing exactly what he needs to do, which is not get pinned right now.
Say it's kind of a chess match on the other side as well, as, you know, how do I hang on, how do I survive, how do I not get pinned, how do I maybe escape. So third period now starting, both wrestlers in the neutral position to start this one off. And I think that may have been a choice by Grant Strand, as that kind of looked like what he has wanted to do all match.
Yeah, so here we've got our third period, and you can see both of them kind of doing some little hand play trying to get there, and Grand Strand with using kind of playing there with EJ's head, with Motor's head, he saw his opening and made his double leg takedown and kind of ran him down hard there.
Now you see a bit of a height difference between these wrestlers. What kind of impact does maybe having being a little bit taller wrestler?
So, like I said, wrestling is really good for all body types, and it's really interesting. So, a tall guy like Grand Strand here, man, he can reach far, and so he's letting Motor up here. So he can reach really far and use those arms as really good levers. But then on the flip side, if you're short usually and you weigh the same, then your muscle compaction usually tend to be a little stronger. And then when they're shorter, they're harder to get underneath and make that takedown to get to the legs. And you see here EJ shot, but his shot kind of failed in that he went down to his belly when that's not where we want him to be. We want him to kind of step up into it. Looks like he's trying to. And he won't step up because Grand Strand's, he's trying to hook a cradle, a near side cradle. And
that's
so
kind of where you hook that knee.
Yeah.
And a lot of times that can be turned, rolled over into a fall or some near fall points if you're able to kind of get those shoulder blades level with the mat.
Yeah, correct. So the ref stopped them there because he recognized that EJ wasn't going to move and neither was Grand Strand because, and there we go, we have our technical fall. And so they stopped it, and he just says this is a stalemate. And so they start him up again.
All right, so was the technical fall because of the 17-2 score, the 15-point differential. You see the individual score there, 17-2. When it gets to that 15-point mark, they call that a technical fall. That is 5 team points, so one less than your normal fall, which is kind of the pin that, if you're not as familiar with wrestling, that's kind of what the terminology you might be familiar with.
Yeah. So Grand Strand earned 5 points for his team, and Mahtomedi is doing really good here. And as you see here at 152, Coy Scott received a forfeit because our 152-pounder here at North, he came down with some illness and had to go home early from school. So
now how does that work in terms of the team scoring? How many team points are awarded for that forfeit?
So that'll be another 6 points to Mahtomedi. So now you see we're up 41-3 up for Mahtomedi. And so we have Luke Malakowski versus Evan Lawrence. So this will be interesting. You see Evan definitely looks like the more physical of the two.
Starting out that way.
Yeah.
So he pushes Malakowski out of the ring. If we want to go back to that previous matchup, we saw there, it was a good job, I want to say, by EJ Motor of not taking that fall. I mean, he was able to kind of ride it out. Would you say that, that's a positive sign?
Yeah, and that's something that, as the coaches, they're trying to do, because as you saw, an empty spot that we had is an automatic 6 points to the other team. And so essentially EJ's job there was to just try not to get pinned. And so, he's new to the sport, and he kind of did exactly what his job was to be. So to do as best he can and stay off his back. And so he did that, and in close matches, every point counts. And so, right now it doesn't seem like it's going to do much for our score for North, but, I definitely got to hand it to EJ Motor. He did his job and did it well, I thought.
Absolutely. Something kind of positive signs looking long term. And I think that kind of goes into also the mental toughness we talk about with this sport. The mental toughness that we kind of talk about with this sport, in that, you might not, your individual performance might not be wins and losses. You might get a victory out of, not getting pinned there, for example. It's tough to swallow sometimes as a youngster that, you get positives out of a loss.
Yeah, that point right there that you just brought up is an excellent lesson that we've been trying to teach some of our younger kids, and that no matter what, when you step onto the mat, you should learn something. And frankly, in my own coaching philosophy, that when you're winning, you're not going to win or learn anything because, well, dang it, I just won. And so that's going to be pretty awesome. And, I must be pretty awesome because I just won, and so I don't need to learn anything. Yet when I lose, well, I must have done something wrong, so I better learn, figure out, and
it's hard
improve.
to get yourself better every time if you're winning every time, kind of a thing. Winning is easy, losing is hard.
Yeah, so, we've been teaching some of our new kids here that, it's okay to lose. And, it's all right, because if you lost, well, then hopefully you learn something. And if you learn something, well, then, you're sitting in a good spot and you're getting better. So
definitely some of the difficulties when you're trying to build a program, as you guys are doing at North. But a little bit I get to talk with you, Adam. It definitely looks like the Polars are going in the right direction. You guys have a great mindset and attitude towards the sport and athletics, student athletics as well, in general.
Yeah, our team has been growing, and we've been trying to come from a position of starting. He's got him in a good move here, starting in early with our middle school program and trying to build from there. We've had a couple good kids, some really good kids in the past. Like last year we graduated one of our best that we've had in a long time, Louis Varland. He had over 100 wins, which was career wins, which was a record for us at North, for a school record.
So you see the fall there coming in. So we'll join current action. Lawrence getting the fall for Malakowski and taking this team score now up to 47-3. Yeah, and Louis Varland, we talk about how this team is somewhat rebuilding a little bit, but Varland was a successful wrestler at North for many years. I believe he made the state tournament 3 years, if not 4.
Yeah, 3 years. And one of those years, the year he didn't make it was because he was injured. So he was a great wrestler for us. And that's the kind of the exciting thing about coaching wrestling is we can have a team that, we have a lot of new kids, yet we can also have a lot of success. And like one of our heavyweight, you'll see, he's ranked in the state this year. And so you can still have a new team, a lot of green kids, but at the same time, we can also have a lot of, success. And so it's exciting that it doesn't have to be all focused on just the team win and the team losses. You can also, focus in on those bright spots with the kids that are doing really well. So right now we have Irving Serrano at 170, and I believe Hunter Hall. And Irving's doing a pretty good job. He's come out real aggressive.
And it is Hunter Hall from Mahtomedi.
So Irving had a good toss there.
Serrano picking up a couple points, leading 2-1 here in the early going.
Trying to get the pin here. See if I don't know if he's in or out. It looks like he's in.
And he might be getting some near fall points. Hall resisting. Serrano can get on top of him a little bit more, but nice move by Hall.
Yeah, that real struggle there to get out. Nicely done.
But a lot of near fall points as they're starting to get them tabulated. Looks like 7-1 lead here now for Serrano. Well, now looks like the referee's adjusting the score a little bit, and now they've got it at 5-1, Serrano leading. But nice lead here, under a minute left to go in the first period.
I think Irving's trying to go for a 2-on-1. Irving is one of those kids, he's learned the advantage of the tilt, as we were talking about earlier. And so he's really been working on trying to earn those tilts and get these points. As you saw earlier in the match with Noah, Noah Hurley, he's one of our good wrestlers, but sometimes struggles trying to earn points. And Irving Serrano, he's trying to, as you see here, we've got 7-1 already, and really trying to. Here we go. Now the ref's going to be counting here. He's got a chin drop here, as you see. He's got a hold of the chin and on the shoulder.
Yeah, nice shot there from our crew. And that's the end of period 1. Very close. Serrano probably didn't even want to hear the buzzer sound there, as he was close to a fall. Buzzer saves Hall a little bit, but Serrano, though, with a 10-1 lead after period 1.
Serrano's going to choose down. And strategically, that's the right choice if you're trying to rack up points, because it is usually harder to hold a guy down than it is to get up. And so if you want points, usually you want to choose down so that you can escape and get that one escape point. And as you see, Irving is doing a pretty good job getting up to his feet.
I believe I heard you mention not too long ago he's got a good 2-1.
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah, so the 2-on-1 is when you have two hands on one arm. When the guy is down, you cannot lock your hands unless you're in a pitting combination. And so like right here, as you see, Irving has one hand in his armpit and the other one on his hip, and now he's gone up to his shoulder, but you cannot lock those hands. And so what you do is instead of locking your hands, use the other guy's arm to so that you can hang on to him and use that as a different move. So it looks like
reversal there for Hall, although Serrano had opened up a nice lead, getting a few more near fall points. It's now a 13-3. And Hall,
it's getting exciting
in
here.
the driver's seat, but Serrano doing a good job keeping his front towards the mat. And
so now you see that the 2-on-1, he's got both hands on one arm. He's trying to bring that back into his waist. What we got?
A whistle.
Looks like we've got a score debate here.
I saw a couple quick 2 points throw up, one for the reversal, then there was a near fall, and I think Hall's going to get 2 more points here, as after that reversal, he was actually credited with a couple near fall points.
Yeah, and it looks like you're right, Sam. We've got 5-13, I believe.
At least that's what they're putting up on the scoreboard right now. Yeah, because I saw the referee indicate pretty quick, so I wasn't sure if the scorer was able to get that either. Yeah, looks like we got things clarified. 13-5, though Serrano still leading. And he's going to start in the defensive position once again. Now, do you find we kind of touched on it a little bit, do you find with wrestlers, some are okay with scoring more and conceding more points, and some like to play defensively and try and get their few points there from reversals and escapes and kind of ride it out and win at the lower score?
Yeah, definitely. Every wrestler kind of, you teach moves, and it seems that every wrestler gets their kind of signature moves, you could say, the things that they feel most comfortable with. And you'll notice that there are some things that, as I said, are basic moves that everyone does, but then there are other things that kids feel comfortable with. So, for example, here, Irving has thrown the legs in. It's backfired on him a little bit here, but that's something that he feels a little more comfortable with, where some of our other wrestlers do not like doing that because of the very reason that Irving is right here, where if you don't do it right, well, then you can end up giving yourself up.
So Hall getting 2 points right before the buzzer sounds to make it 15-7. You saw when Serrano was kind of riding Hall there. I don't know if you picked it up at home, but the crowd was kind of saying that he was high on his back, and you saw Hall be able to arch that back and sort of flip Serrano off of him. And I think that's where he got his 2 points for reversal.
Correct.
So here's the start of third period. 15-7, Hall starting in the defensive position. And there they go.
So what you want to do when you're on top is you want to stay behind the guy and kind of under his armpits. And so you see that Irving's doing a pretty good job. Hall is doing a fantastic job of trying to move around. But Serrano, there he goes. Because he was moving around, doing a lot of sit-out and rolls and turns, that he was able to find that opening and get out. And so
it was a 1 point escape for Hall. 15-8 now. Definitely been our best match here so far this evening.
Yeah, two really good matched up guys. Ooh, that was a good throw.
Yeah. Talk about size, too. These guys, real similar builds, almost mirrors of each other. I'm sure a lot of times when you see that in wrestling, it really gets exciting.
Yeah. And you can get similar builds and similar skill level, that you get a good match. And
here's a whistle.
Ooh. So the debate that's going on here is that they're saying, did Hall able to get control and get a takedown before they were out of bounds? And the ref is actually saying that he did not get an escape. So Irving was not able out, and because he never lost control. Hall had control the whole time while they were on the edge of the mat. So Hall's let him up here, giving him the 1 point. And so he's only down by 3 points, and so he's trying to score more with getting more takedowns.
45 seconds now left to go in period 3. It's actually 16-12 now, but Serrano getting the point. Serrano now with the bar.
Oh, that's nice. See if he can get that pin. He's going to try to So you see,
he's got Hall.
Hall's trying to bridge.
He's getting close to some near fall points here. Good resistance from Hall. But if Serrano can just keep this up, he'll definitely take the decision. 15 seconds now. And there it is, big
There's
fall.
the pin, nice.
Serrano getting the first ball for the Polars here this evening at 6 points for North. A nice win by Irving Serrano as he took on a very good wrestler in Hunter Hall and won the 170 weight class for North.
I think that's as you said, our best match that we've seen so far. Fantastic bout between the two of those guys.
Yeah, I want to get into the third period. 12 seconds to go, so Hall just unable to hold on, as that one was pretty close, and it would have been most likely the decision, which is only 3 team points as opposed to 6.
Scoreboard is, oh, here it comes back on. Lost our scoreboard for a little bit.
You have it back there, and you see the scores now. Nelson and Weldon getting it going here in the 182 weight class. Ben Nelson, senior for Mahtomedi, in the gray.
Nick Weldon is also a senior from North here. And Nick is a real unconventional wrestler. He's fun to watch and to coach because you just don't know what's going to happen. He's one of those guys that often just pulls whatever he needs to out of somewhere. As you can see here, it looked like he was
unorthodox, maybe.
Unorthodox is definitely a way you could say it.
That can be very frustrating as a coach when it doesn't work so well. When the kid works, you wonder why you're in the coach's seat, maybe.
Yeah, yeah.
Is he onto something there?
I've been with Nick since he was in since when he was in 8th grade, and so he's always been an interesting guy, very unorthodox since even as an 8th grader. Real hard worker. I think the big thing for Nick is that he's just got so much heart.
Sorry, Adam, I was just going to say, is that something you see a lot with these wrestlers? Is that maybe the wrestling style mimics their personalities a little bit? You know, if you're talking like defensive, offensive, conservative, not so conservative, you know, maybe a little unorthodox, off the wall, something like that?
Absolutely. 100% absolutely.
I think that maybe is kind of one of the cool things about the sport is that, you know, it's so primal that it's almost a reflection of who, you know, the type of human being you are.
It's true. It's true. And so it was almost a half cradle there, but like I said, he's so unorthodox. But as the team, some of our kids were talking about Nick a couple of weeks ago at another tournament. They were going, you know, Nick might not know as much as some of our other guys, but dang, he's got a bigger heart than anyone else on the team. And you can see here, he just fights back up, goes for that, gets back onto his feet. He's looking to get a reversal here.
We mentioned, you know, earlier in the broadcast that it's not always the strongest wrestler necessarily that's the best wrestler. It doesn't hurt to be pretty, you know, naturally strong as well for this sport.
Yeah.
Because I think Weldon, you can see he's got some strength there. It's an early lead for Nelson, though, for Mahtomedi, 7-2. As his efforts to a big team score lead here in this Metro East duel. Looks like they will most likely pick up their second win in conference. But we still got a couple to go, including a big one with the heavyweights. And Corey Gunther for North St. Paul. And he should be an exciting wrestler to watch.
Yeah, it doesn't. I don't think North is going to be able to pull it out on tonight, but we still should be able to see some good matches before we finish up here.
So that is the start of period number 2 here in the 182 weight class. Nick Weldon from North and Ben Nelson from Mahtomedi.
And here we go.
These are two wrestlers probably know each other pretty well, both being seniors and in this conference. And Nelson trying to roll Weldon back onto his shoulders.
Nelson taking advantage of a bit of a scramble there. He's able to see the position that he's in and try to get some back points. Nick keeps reaching over the head. Not a wise decision, but as I see here, Nick fights out of it, comes back up, faces him.
Nelson was able to pick up a couple points there. Will that be a near fall? I think they added 3 to his score from 9. And Weldon a little bit of pain there, but Doing a good job fighting off, trying to get out of it.
So the ref is counting there. Now he's got some more.
And he flips
Nelson
onto
got
his
more near
belly.
fall, 3 more. So now we're in danger of a tech fall here.
That'll be if Nelson's able to increase that lead by 15, up by 13 right here. Weldon nearly getting an escape. Nelson's got him by the waist and tries to turn him once again. Has 30 seconds left to go here, period 2.
You see Nick just keeps on moving. Nelson doing a great job of countering everything that he's doing, trying to use the position to get those last 2 near fall that he needs. So you see he throws in a half and he's kind of going for a cradle at the same time, kind of just putting in both and seeing what's going to be able to come out best.
And you can really see the strength of Weldon there, as he's even with both arms tied behind his back, guy on his head, he's just still standing up. And he survives period 2.
Might say he's part ox. I don't know. I think he might be.
Now we're getting up to that territory here in terms of the weight class. These are the big kids. It's hard for me to call them kids. They are definitely outsizing me a little bit here.
They definitely outsize me. They're the ones that can send me to the chiropractor easily.
Now, talking about those different weight classes, is there a different strategy that goes in? I mean, do you teach different technique, I guess is what I'm saying, with a heavyweight over a lighter guy?
Absolutely. Because the lighter guys tend to be a little quicker, they tend to be a little more flexible. And there we go, we've got Nelson getting the technical fall. But
Weldon hold his arm a little bit. I think he's going to be all right.
Yeah, I think he did. It looked like it, tough match. Weldon definitely put in some funky positions and able to fight out of it, but it's not always the most comfortable thing.
That is a tough day at the office, and you can see there why they limit it to 6 minutes, as that is no picnic.
Yeah, so your question about, is the position, it looks like we have a forfeit at 195 by Mahtomedi, so Fasai Odeyemi received the forfeit there and earned 6 points for North.
And our TV19 football fans will know Odeyemi pretty well as a star for the Polars on the football field.
He is an interesting addition to our team. He only started wrestling last year, and so his learning curve was steep, but he's developed quite nicely over the past 2 seasons that we've had him.
And some of our TV19 football fans will recognize another name here as TJ Tumbleson takes the mat for Mahtomedi here in the 220 weight class. Tumbleson in the gray and blue. He'll be facing Lundgren from North, Michael Lundgren, the junior, here for the Polars.
And so, I think it's interesting. You have definitely a difference in body type here. You looking at the two of them, you'd say TJ Tumbleson is definitely the stronger of the two, but you can see that Lundgren is moving quite well and doing a great job of hanging on to hands and moving quite well. He looks...
Yeah, Tumbleson got that kind of low center of gravity. I'm sure a very strong base when he's in that position.
Yeah,
but
so
Lundgren doing a good job shooting there for the legs. Is that something, kind of the taller guys, quicker guys do a little bit more shooting for the legs, or is that reserved for our bigger guys here?
So Mike, again, is a little more unorthodox in that, often you don't see guys shooting, especially, and you don't want to shoot to your belly. And that's definitely something you don't want to end up because you're not very strong from your belly. And
and when you say that, you're talking about, reaching out for somebody's legs and ending up on your own belly.
Correct.
Because, that's not a very strong position, I would say.
Yeah, so correct. So you see how he's gone to his hip here, and that's not a tough spot. And so Tumbleson is going to take advantage, yeah.
He'll get a couple more points, it looks like.
Yeah, so, but there is definitely a strategy difference between big guys and little guys. For the little guys, it's the strength to weight ratio is a little higher. It's easier to pick up someone who's 106 pounds as opposed to pick up someone who's 285 pounds. And so, from that feet position, it's usually a little bit of a different more different shots that you're going to take. You know, you might not dive as much. You might go for more duck unders and things that keep you from getting landed on this big guy. And so whereas the little guys, they might be a little more flexible, they might be a little quicker, and so yeah, there's definite strategy differences between the two.
That'll be it for period one. Tumbleson with the 7-2 lead. Saw the referee award a point to Lundgren there. I'm not exactly sure what it was. Not sure if you saw that, Adam. He kind of made a motion up towards his head.
Yeah, so that motion, the referee, that's giving a illegal move, and so that would have been that gives a point to the other guy. So,
there's a big flip and a reversal as Tumbleson credited with the 2.
You know, he seems to be doing really well. You know, it looks like Mike is really moving and giving him everything he's got, but Tumbleson, he just seems cool, and you know, as cool as the other side of the pillow, you might say, and really being able to handle whatever Mike's coming at, whatever Lundgren has thrown at him, and he gets the pin.
Tumbleson does get the pin. Yeah, I'm not sure what Tumbleson's wrestling experience is, but he's definitely one of the strongest kids in the Metro. You saw it on display there as he's able to get the pin. The senior from Mahtomedi, part of their state tournament football team this year, well, for a couple years, but the team that made it to state this year. So Tumbleson gets the fall for Mahtomedi, and they increase their team score lead. We are here for our final match now. The heavyweights is Corey Gunther, the junior from North, and one of our wrestlers to watch here for the Polars, takes on Tommy Firminger of Mahtomedi.
As you see, you know, it's interesting the size differences that we have here. You know, we got the ref bringing in the ankle bands because Corey, he likes to joke, says, well, the ankle bands don't fit me, so I try to get rid of them right away because he is a big guy. Corey's coming in, I think, at about 265 pounds.
Yeah, with those weight classes, you know, the heavyweight, they sometimes call it the 285. How does that work? You know, we just saw 220. Is that the highest possible weight that wrestler can be for that weight class, or how does that work?
Yeah, so that's the highest possible weight they can be, and the lowest possible weight they can be is 2 weight classes below. And so to wrestle heavyweight at 285, you would have to weigh more than 195 pounds. And so, you know, the heavyweight category, it's got a lot of weight between 220 and 285. You got 65 pounds there of kind of wiggle room. And, you know, towards the beginning of the weight classes, there's not so much weight difference. And
now, I assume that the heavyweight wrestlers can't go down 2 weight classes. You know, they can't wrestle at a 182. It's only sort of that one way.
Correct.
Wrestling above your weight class.
Correct. So if you want to wrestle 220, you have to be 220 or under. You can't be 220.1. You got to be right on weight there. And there we go. We got Gunther's
nice
thing.
takedown.
Yeah, good takedown from him.
I'm sure you see a lot of that with, you know, some wrestlers maybe dominating a weight class. You know, at a 160, might move up to a 170, 182, might fill in for a position of need on a team where if you have strong wrestlers that could be in 2 weight classes, one might jump up or down or something like that.
Yeah, depending, and that's where the coaching comes into hand for duels. You know, when you're looking at, well, who are my matchups, who are you going against, and might kind of shuffle around some of your guys to see who needs to do what. We've got.
That's an escape point there.
Firminger is doing a good job of coming up out of that.
My mistake. I was going to credit that to Gunther for a second, and you're right. I was used to North St. Paul being on the green band. So 2-1 here as time is ticking away towards the end of period 1. And there goes the horn. Gunther has the 2-1 lead though. So we get ready for period 2.
See, it looks like it's Mahtomedi's choice. He's going to defer. As you saw, he made that kind of cross with his X with his arms. So that's saying the choice was his to begin with, but he's going to say, no, I'm going to hold off and wait till that 3rd period. So he makes Gunther make the choice, and he chooses down. And again, that's kind of the strategic spot to go. And as you see, he gets the reversal right off the bat with a really nice switch.
Yeah, nearly gets a chance now to flip over Firminger and try and work on some near fall points.
Ooh, so he's got we call it a Peterson or a Fat Man roll. Furminger had a nice job where he pinches that elbow down, traps the arm, and kind of knocks Gunther over onto his side. Almost capitalized on that.
Doing a good job keeping arch there, not going flat as Furminger, but Gunther kind of wearing him down as he now leads 4-1. So 4-1 here in our final match of the evening, heavyweight weight class. That's Corey Gunther of North St. Paul taking on Tommy Furminger of Mahtomedi. We talked about kind of the strategy of having to, figure out who's going to wrestle what weight class. So that means that, just because you wrestled maybe a certain weight class in this duel, you might match up in a different weight class down the road.
Correct. So, for example, tomorrow we have another match. North St. Paul has a couple more duels tomorrow night, Friday night. And so some of those guys, that may have weighed in at 160, well, we'll see. We might need to get you at the 170. And so we sometimes play around with, hey, where do you need to be? And, we try to, I think one of the big misconceptions, or maybe not misconceptions, but kind of negatives that a lot of wrestling has had in the past is, that you have to cut a lot of weight and try to starve yourself. And I think, in the past few years, wrestling has really gotten somewhat away from that, we're looking to try to get kids more at their natural weight and, not try to mess around with what they're doing there, because we found that you cut weight, you get gassed.
Absolutely. So there's the buzzer on period 2. Gunther leads it 6-1. Kind of want to revisit what you're just talking about there, Adam. And I think one of the things I've noticed they've done in recent years to kind of control, the rampant weight loss or weight gain is that aren't each wrestler, they're made to weigh in before the season, and that's on reference so that they can't vary too far from that initial season weight, if that makes sense?
Correct. So they weigh in at the beginning of the season, and they do a body fat test, and that's done by a medical professional, and the body fat test is then kind of gives you, hey, what would be your healthy, what would be healthy for you to play around with your weight if that's what you choose to do.
And you mean when you say play around, you mean in terms of losing and gaining?
Losing or gaining, sure. Yeah. And so by using that as a reference, that can, help kids to know what they can do. And oftentimes, like for us, our coaching staff, we really try to keep the kids where they're at naturally, because, we found that kids just aren't able to, perform very well if they're really gassier. So we try to keep them where they're at and just focus on becoming stronger and becoming better with their moves and doing better. And I think that's going to bode well for a lot of these kids later on in the future.
Corey Gunther, a few points now away from picking up that technical fall.
Doing a good job of exposing the back of Furminger here. And there he goes again. Get more count. And it looks like if he doesn't get him pinned, that's going to be our technical fall right there. If he loses, there it is.
And there it is. So that'll do it on our final one. Gunter's going to win it for North, pick up a few more points for their team score to bring it up to 20. That'll be a 5-point. Mahtomedi will win this 58-20, but Gunter picking up another win for North St. Paul. Well, Adam, I want to thank you so much for joining us and giving us a little insight on wrestling and the North St. Paul program. Maybe for any of our anybody watching at home, how can they get involved with youth wrestling here in North St. Paul?
Well, we've got a couple programs at our middle school that, our seasons are done, but, look at the middle school. We've got some great programs, especially at John Glenn, and a good program at Maplewood. And so, look at both of those, get involved early, and it really helps you out, and it's a lot of fun.
All right, well, want to thank you once again. For everybody here at TV19 Sports, want to thank you for watching. We will catch you next time.